that we a lot of times will try to do three things and we do them like mid on all three levels. Do one thing really well with your team, and they'll start valuing that you value the team and these cultural tools and these assessments we're going to talk about today. But the problem is we overload our team by having 9 to 10 different things that they're like, well, what am I doing? Am I just giving you information? It's more like they're just filling out forms and they're just like doing their taxes. Like that's what it's kind of become, unfortunately. Yeah. And that overload is one of the worst things for your team because you're trying to build a healthy culture, not build one that just does a lot of things.
Welcome back to the Culture Based Podcast. I'm Dustin, and just sitting down to join us is Blake Mayer.
Hey, thanks for having me on today, Dustin.
No problem, man. Glad you had time to fit it in. Yeah, during the intro music, I look up and I see an empty chair, and I go, "Oh, that's cool. This will be fun. Can't wait to see what happens when the music stops." And we're here. We're excited. This is take 2 of our podcast. We had some internet connectivity issues last time we tried to record this, and so my goal is to break him as quickly as possible, and here we are, less than 30 seconds broken. Episode 92, the Leader's Toolkit, essential resources for cultural leadership. Essentially, today's episode is going to be the sticky note that sits on your desktop to equip you to be intentional about the culture that you're trying to cultivate. And we're going to dive into that here in just a sec. But before we do, I want to remind you that we're here to help leaders know what they're about, show where they're going, and develop a scalable team to get them there. It's a long time coming, Blake, but what do you say we dive right into the problem?
Let's do it. So thinking about the problem here of this too many tools or not enough tools, or what tools should I use? I kind of want to first just say, chill, just chill. Okay.
Chill on the tech stack, bro.
We have the most amount of resources we've ever had, which also means that we probably care about making the right decision way too much. Okay. And I think when we are like, oh, I need this and I need this and I should grab this. And what if I miss out? What if I grab the wrong tool? I was doing this last night with like looking at a biome, or not a biome, a genome test or whatever to check your genes and stuff like that. And there were like 30 different possibilities.
Just because of cultural relevance, which genes are we talking about right now?
Not my really tight skinny pants, but
okay. Not your American Eagles.
Not my AEs. It's more like the things that my body's made of.
Okay, just making sure.
So I'm looking through all of this stuff, and I'm like, which one? What if I get this one, I don't get this thing. But if I get this one, I don't have this, and I need 9 more of these on this one. The thing is, you don't know what you're going to do with this information anyway. You don't know what you're going to do with these tools half the time. And I think what ends up happening is we get this analysis paralysis on tools. And when you are completely paralyzed by it, it's like you get the dopamine hit that you care, but then nothing actually implements. Okay. And so as we're talking about culture, there are a lot of tools out there that we're going to talk about, and a lot of really good tools. And I would almost just assume that there aren't bad tools, that it's how you use the tool that actually matters, and you'll start valuing that tool. And if you see another tool, then you'll be like, you know what? I'm even going to value that more because I'm using the good stuff from the tool. Okay. So don't try to get past this fear of missing out, or, this comparison thing. That thing just adds stress. Comparison is not a tool of the successful. Okay. It's just not. So throw that out the door. And I'm telling you, by doing anything is better than doing nothing.
That's right.
So first thing is that do something. Just take one step forward and make it an impactful step. Make it an ecological step. And what I mean by that is that we a lot of times will try to do three things, and we do them like mid on all three levels. Do one thing really well with your team, and they'll start valuing that you value the team and these cultural tools and these assessments we're going to talk about today. But the problem is we overload our team by having 9 to 10 different things that they're like, well, what am I doing? Am I just giving you information? It's more like they're just filling out forms, and they're just like doing their taxes. Like, that's what it's kind of become, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that overload is one of the worst things for your team, because you're trying to build a healthy culture, not build one that just does a lot of things.
Yeah.
So tool overload, it's a big problem. The other side is when you're so overwhelmed, we just do like cultural things. When we finally do the thing, we do it once and we don't have consistency.
Yeah.
And I think we forget this maxim that Robin Sharma, do you know who that is, Dustin?
I don't.
Oh, so good.
I'm excited to know, Robin.
I'm on my third book in the last 2 days. So like I've gone pretty deep into him. That sounded horrible, by the way, but he wrote the 5 a.m. Club. If you ever heard of that book.
Oh yeah. I do know 5 a.m. Club. Yeah.
Okay. So good. Yeah. But he has a quote that he says that all change is hard at first. It's messy in the middle, and it's gorgeous at the end.
Yeah.
Well, consistency tends to not happen because change is hard. And you do it once and you're like, that was hard, but we'll try it again. And then you try it again and it gets messy. And then you're like, oh, this just doesn't work. It's not true. It's not true. All change is hard at first, messy in the middle, and it's gorgeous at the end. Okay. So these occasional bits of culture, not going to do it. Okay. You're not going to have a thriving garden by just occasionally going and picking weeds, or occasionally going and throwing water on it. Is it better than not doing anything at all? Sure. But it's still that inconsistent application it's a problem. Okay. Because people trust what they see repeated. So if they don't see something repeated, they're not going to trust it. Okay. Would you have anything else there?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of say right out the gate what the problem here as well is to not throw out this advice or episode with, oh, I've just got to spend more money on more gadgets or software. You know, hey, my team is already like overloaded with software changes that we do every 6 months because we can't settle on anything. So what I want you to understand about today's episode is that the tools that we're talking about, you can do with your own brain and 2 hands. Like, there's nothing that we're going to give you today. I mean, there might be like, hey, you can consider using something like this. But at the end of the day, like the Post-it note, like I said at the beginning of this episode, the Post-it note on your desktop is going to be a reminder for you to create the consistency. And consistency is the tool. Period. Consistency is the tool.
Yeah.
So if that's the tool, then how do we use that tool? And that's what we're going to talk about here today. So
that's great.
Get into the solution.
Let's go.
Okay. All right. I would love to break this up into like some daily stuff that you can kind of use practically. And I say daily, you could use this weekly. I would say at least weekly. I think anything less than that, you lose momentum of the consistency. And momentum is a big part of consistency. If you want the catalyst of change in your organization to move in the right direction, momentum is a big part of a catalyst shift. Anytime you look at a catalytic shift over the years, you start to understand that there was a moment that started it, yes, but there are other moments that move that forward. And those moments build what? Momentum. You can't spell momentum without moments. Look at that. Anyway, so here are a few things I think you can do daily. This is one that I use on my team because we're all remote. And so we use Slack, free tool. But you can use text messages, doesn't matter. And I will once a week send them just like a check-in question that is a personal check-in question. It has nothing to do with work. It is not a project check-in. It's not a like, hey, how was work yesterday? It's just a personal check-in. And the reason I can check in personally is because I know stuff about my team. leader, know stuff about your team.
Yeah.
Okay. Not just what they do for you. How many kids do they have? What do they like doing during their off time? What sports teams do they root for? Make it easy water cooler talk at first if you need to, but do those types of check-ins. Hey, I know your parents have been struggling with their health. How's that going? Been thinking about you. And I use this is like kind of is the Wizard of Oz, like behind the curtain situation where you're just like, that's just a dude with a megaphone. But I honestly use reminders in my calendars app for just about all of this stuff. If I'm in a conversation with you and you tell me that you celebrated your daughter's birthday over the weekend, and I'm going to go, oh, what day is that? And they're going to go, oh, it's August 3rd. And I go, oh, okay, cool. And then while we're done talking, I'm going to write down Ted's daughter's birthday is August 3rd. And so then next August 3rd, I'm going to go, hey, happy birthday to your daughter. How's she doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's easy. You can set it and forget it. You don't have to keep all of this stuff up here. So a daily practice tool that I want to give you is just personally check in. Anything you would add to that, Blake?
Yeah, I got two stories real quick. First, one would be you might think Dustin's completely BSing right there, but he's not, because we just got something recently from him. Lindsay just told me, hey, we got something from Dustin for anniversary and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's freaking awesome. Like just those types of moments were so impactful. And I haven't even talked to Dustin about that and thanked him. So thank you, by the way. But it was like very, very cool to experience those moments where he's not there, but he's there. Right. Yeah. Like, so those things were impactful and they hit us a certain way. The second one is like, I want you to think about when you've gone to a really nice restaurant and the waiters are doing great, but then all of a sudden the chef comes out and is actually like, hey, how's your food doing? Is it good? Like, is there anything you change? Like, tell me about it. And like, all of a sudden you feel this value that's like way different, as if you were out there and the chef was just sitting down, kind of doing his things, doing his like crossword at the next table over. And you're like, so who's cooking?
So yeah, just like Blake was sharing the story of why it matters for personal check-in, I think that's the giving of the check. That's the, right. But in the receiving too, I think is keeping your ear to the ground on moments that you want repeated. Right. Some of these moments, as you start to lean in personally, right, and start to build some trust with your team, there's going to be moments where that trickles down when you're not in the room. Right. And so that's great. That's a great thing. When you or your leaders start to hear about those things, you need to write them down. And you need to bring them up as much as possible, because it's the age old concept, right? You celebrate what you want repeated. And so when you hear, but you have to have some type of method, or you have to have some type of, I'm going to use the word here again, intentionality. You have to have some type of intentionality to be able to listen out for those types of stories. And so I would just, any kind of, intentionality wrapped around that. It doesn't have to be like a whole form that your company fills out every time they hear a story or anything like that. Just empower your executive team or your management team to keep notes on their phone, and when they hear things, just coach them in that habit of capturing those things. And as you start to do that, you share those things as you're gathering together as a team. Is there anything else that you would add in kind of like the regular kind of stuff there, Blake?
Yeah, I think I would add by asking a question is, how are you studying and being a student of your culture? Because your product might not change very much, but your culture from decade to decade and your workforce from decade to decade will. And the thing is, we always have something new about how to engage and how to work with people and how to build a good environment. There's always new, because we always have new, and there are new technologies and new advancements. And the thing is, the things that stay true are connection. And the things that stay true is that story motivates people. Like, I don't care who you are, what tools you have. But But that right there, if you're not a student of that and trying to figure out how do I tell better stories? If you're not being a student, the tools are just fluff, right? Like tools are just tools. Without the right motivation, the right tool can be a bad tool. Okay. Right. So hammer is a great tool. If you're trying to screw in a screw, it's not, right? Yeah. And we gotta know when to use what.
Yeah. And I'd say too, with knowing when to use things, is you need to have some sort of pulse on your culture that gives you some real time feedback, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be something super elaborate. There are ones out there. I know Paycor, is it Paycor that has one? I know there's Office Vibe. There's a bunch of different stuff out there that will allow you to send. I know Leader without the E at the end. Why they do that? LEAD. No E and then an R. So LEADR is another one. But just being able to kind of keep a pulse on like, hey, how's everybody feeling is a good thing. We do that at the culture base through what we call 360 reviews. So if you're like, hey, I don't have the time or the energy or the effort to kind of learn and build new software, I just want a team to kind of come in and assess where we're at every quarter or so. We do that through what we call 360 reviews, where we interview different people, ask lots of different questions about your vision, about your culture, about your processes, your hiring, your onboarding, your retaining, your development, all these things, right? And then we're able to give you kind of a report back on that. But any kind of quarterly, monthly, annual culture assessments, feedback stuff is really good too. And then like we talked about a few weeks ago, and like we're going to talk about here in the next several episodes, the A player, right? So like you would just give them, like if they missed the last episode, give them 30 seconds on what A player is and why it's important to track that for your culture.
Yep. High level, Jack Welch came up with this idea called or he would group people into A players, B players, and C players. He said that A players were 20% of your company, 70% of your company were B players, and the bottom 10% were C players. Jack Welch's next step, fire all the C players. So he would just cut the bottom 10%. That is a way to do it, and I'm sure there are good reasons to do that. A player is about developing people into A players. 20% A player sounds boring. It sounds not like we're trying very hard. And the thing is A players love working with A players. Want a good culture where people love working with people? Find A players.
Right.
So A player is an assessment that we will go and try to figure out what are those characteristics that make up an A player. And then how do we subjectively through surveys, how do we figure out and give a score to those types of things? Which ones do you value the most? Which ones do you not value as much? And what we're trying to do is come up with a coaching plan for those C players and B players and A players, because A players want it too. But then either coaching people up or coaching people out. Right. That's kind of what the A player is.
Yeah. And so we do that at the culture base with our clients. We walk them through the whole A player system for the sole purpose of coaching up the players that need to be coached up and retaining the A players that you already currently have. And that goes a long way in your culture. You want a culture of excellence and a culture of trust. Surround yourself with A players. Anything else in here, Blake?
Yeah. Nothing pushes A players away more than C players.
Okay. That's good.
I think that needs to be said.
Oh, that's a mic drop. He just said it and left it. Okay, let's get into the action steps. All right, I'll kick us off here, Blake. For leaders, like we talked about so many times already on this episode, you just need to be able to have, like, this sounds dumb, but the Post-it note is the biggest tool I can give you. Like, put it in front of your face every single day. How can I reinforce our culture values today? Simple. Ask yourself that every single day at the beginning of the day. How can I reinforce culture values? Ask yourself that at the beginning of meetings. How can we reinforce our culture values here in this meeting? Like, you need to, if you're going to define, if you want to define what the culture is, you have to talk about it enough for the definition to stick. Makes sense what I'm saying? So when you're making decisions, if you're not using the lens of your culture in that decision making in a group meeting setting, then the culture values are just words on a wall. right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we're not talking about words on a wall. We're talking about the real, tangible feeling that an environment gives when you walk into a space and go, oh, something's different here, right? And some of the greatest organizations in the world have that. So begin each day with how can I reinforce our values today? End each day by capturing one win or learning opportunity. So, hey, something didn't go our way today, is like we didn't really have a cultural win today. Okay. What was an opportunity to learn towards that culture value, right? Hey, we didn't demonstrate excellence today. Okay. How did we not demonstrate excellence? Define what that looks like, right? My son recently was talking about how he wanted to start ranking his days. And over days he was going to, at the end of it, I'll be able to rank my weeks, and at the end of it, I'll be able to rank my months. And he's a very analytical kid, right? And I had to explain to him, I said, look, bud, if you wake up one day and you're in a bad mood, whatever the day is going to be bad. Now the exact same day can happen the next day and you'll be in a better mood and you'll give that a higher ranking. So there's no correct perspective there. There's no writing on the wall to judge this is a win and this is a loss. And that's what value should be for you. It should be, you should be able to define if what does it look like when we're exhibiting excellence? What does that mean? What does it actually look like on a day-to-day basis? And then opposite, what does the antithesis look like, so that you know it when you see it? Anything you'd add to that, Blake, on the leader side?
No.
Cool.
No. That's good. I do think it's also a good idea, action step wise, to implement like a 3-question pulse weekly. Okay. So this is just like Dustin was saying, like you can quarterly get together. We do this. We have quarterly days where we come together and we try to see what's working, what's not working. And those are 2 of the questions: what's working, what's not working, what do we need? Or what do we need to be successful? What do we need to get out of the way? What do we need to ... It's a great kind of leader question. But quarterly is great, but you're only going to be getting probably the last week of information.
Right.
So like, did we have a big safety issue? Well, we need to be talking about safety this quarter. Okay, that's one issue. I mean, first off, yes, always talk about safety, but like that's one issue. And maybe we had 10 weeks of something completely else that that are more important things that we need to bring to the top, to really discuss on a quarterly. Well, if you don't have a way to capture your weeklies and things that are going on, and hey, here's something that's working this week, why don't we pass that along and give that information to everyone else on the team, see if it works for them? That's where you start building a culture that actually cares about coming to understand, like what's our pulse, what's going on, what's working. But if you wait till just once a quarter or once a year, you're still going to get a weekly perspective. It's just going to be a weird one.
Yeah. And some of those questions you can ask, Blake, are like, hey, what energy are you bringing to your work today or this week? What's helping you do your best work right now? Identify those things, right?
Yeah.
What's getting in the way of your success? What's getting in the way of our success? Get them looking around and not being, yes, you want them to be, self-aware, but you also want them to be team and org aware as well. And then lastly, hey, how are we living our values out as a team this week? Take one value a week, right? How are we, just stick with the excellence one because everybody has some form of it, right? So, hey, how are we exhibiting excellence this week? How are we, or how will we exhibit excellence this week? Kind of set the tone from the beginning of the week. So there's all sorts of things you can do that, right? There's the ENPS, which is the Employee Net Promoter Score. You can look at retention rates. You can look at referral rates. You can look at your success of your recognition programs. You can look at all sorts of different culture initiative engagement scores. But at the end of the day, if you're not talking about it, then it's not moving, right? Your culture is a living organism. You have to address it. Right. You have to talk to it. Like if I ignored my wife all the time, that relationship would die. Right. Yeah. And so we have to put in the work. We have to go in with the mindset of this is something that's going to take, I'm going to say my favorite word again, intentionality.
The thing I love that your son is trying to do is capture something, right? Like, and starting to see like, how was this day? How was this day? the reason a lot of people don't dig into tools is because there's so much subjectivity to a lot of those metrics.
Yeah.
But that's better than no metrics, I promise.
Yep.
And so coming up with metrics to understand what are the scores we're looking for. And if you're like, man, this week was a 7, okay, arbitrary number. This week was a 7. But next week's an 8. Okay. Why? Now we start to understand differences. Now we start to understand impact. Now we start to understand all these other things. But we have to have an ability to capture that data.
Yeah. There's no greater question to ask of anything as a leader than why. And it's not because you're doubting, it's because you're learning. Right? Leaders are learners and learners ask why. Simple as that. End of episode. All right. So next episode, we're going to get into a topic that I am super passionate about. I know Blake is as well, but we're going to talk about limiting beliefs that are holding back your scalability as an organization. We're going to talk about that next time. I want to remind you to go to theculturebase.com/strategy. You can get a free strategy session with us, The Culture Base, to talk about any of these topics that we're talking about. We have several resources for you available to download as well. You can grab those at theculturebase.com/resources. Cannot wait to be back with you next time, episode 93 of the Culture Base podcast. Have a great week.